In this video, we'll be discussing information visualization. Information visualization means communicating information using a visual display. It takes many forms. Some of the most common include graphs, timelines, and infographics. Many people regularly use IV, especially at school or work. To work with IV, understanding how to interpret data is crucial. Information often needs to be simplified before it can be shown in a graphic. IV creators need to be able to draw accurate conclusions from large data sets and explain those conclusions simply. Creators should also understand different methods so they're able to choose one that most clearly shows their information. When working with IV digitally, basic technology skills can be enough. Experience with programming languages or design are also helpful but not required because there are many free tools online. These tools are often recommended by LIS professionals. Many online tools are free or have a free version. Staff have seen benefits of using IV in library operations like collection management or budgeting. Because it makes data more digestible, more people can understand it and use it to make informed decisions. It's also a good way to communicate with government officials or others that may only be able to review key points. IV can also be marketing content. Infographics are popular on social media and can get a lot of engagement. They're a great way to promote services or show the impact of the library. IV is also part of many libraries' educational services. Aside from using it to teach, many have noted patrons are increasingly expecting librarians are able to answer their IV questions. LIS students at the University of Toronto did a project where they drew pictures to represent several terms. This shows some drawings for the term librarian abstracted. The State Library in New South Wales shows this visualization of their entire collection on their website. Users can click to zoom in on individual records. This infographic from the California State Library promotes library services. Finally, this is one of many visualizations the Brooklyn Public Library created and shared with staff. There are a few unique ways museums and archives use IV, like to make exhibits more engaging and bring them to a broader audience online. This example from Exploratorium in San Francisco lets online visitors click to explore this exhibit. These organizations also use IV to help users make unique connections between pieces. The UMD School of Public Policy's digital archives use a concept map browsing method on their website to do this. MoMA put on a Draw Your Visit with Data workshop that helped patrons engage more deeply by looking through a particular exhibit, collecting their own data sets, and drawing visualizations together. Much of the LIS literature discusses using IV from an operations perspective. The transparency has been said to empower staff to make decisions and advocate for their organization. As such, it's been recommended to include information visualization in staff training. This can also prepare them to help patrons. Some have suggested IV as an opportunity to partner with researchers in other fields. This gets librarians out into the community, increasing their visibility and showing the library's services. Learning more about using IV specifically for STEM information is a recommended first step. LIS researchers predict that information visualization will become increasingly popular as society tracks more and more data. One emerging area of interest for librarians is IV based on personal health tracker data like Apple Watches, as some are seeing increasing patron questions on the topic. With so much data floating around, LIS professionals need to keep data privacy a top priority in IV, especially when it comes to patrons' personal data. Now let's look at IV outside LIS. Many other fields use IV too, like computer science, business, humanities, and statistics. It's also commonly used in public health and government because there's a higher expectation of data transparency. Here are a few examples of infographics from the CDC and the Census Bureau. All of the STEM fields use IV. There's a journal called Information Visualization for professionals in tech, engineering, and electronics. Some fields are exploring the theories and science of how people comprehend visual information. For example, Connor Ware wrote a book about the psychology of human perception to inform IV creation. In IVs in popular media, there's often more focus on aesthetics and innovation. Pew Research Center reviewed their favorite IVs published in their 2025 reports, some of which are shown below. These newer formats are able to show more complex trends and relationships. There's also a lot of discussion about IV and accessibility in general media, especially for visually impaired people. The American Foundation for the Blind recommends things like having text-based versions of charts, embedding HTML tables, and being mindful of contrast and colors. Other general accessibility considerations include keyboard navigation, screen readers, and alt text. As we continue to track more data and can do more complex analysis, IV will be used more frequently and methods will be constantly evolving. LIS staff should try to stay up to date on new developments, especially so they're equipped to help patrons. The scope of accessibility is constantly changing. As we learn more about disability and technology, LIS should explore ways to make IV more accessible. Many in LIS are predicting that the scope of accessibility will continue to broaden and consider others that need accommodations to work with IV, like people with low internet bandwidth or with mental health disabilities. One area in need of more research is the use of IV in special libraries. Most publications in this area focus on practical tips, and many are specific to medical libraries. The field would benefit from seeing more research on how it's being used and its effectiveness in these libraries. There's also a lack of LIS literature on IV accessibility. Although many of the general perspectives and suggestions are applicable, it's important for LIS professionals to understand if there are any nuances specific to the needs and priorities of the field. It would also be beneficial for librarians, curators, and archivists to be able to see challenges and successes from their peers' experiences. There are many more topics LIS can explore related to IV and many ways to use it both inside and outside the library. As long as LIS professionals try to keep up with new developments and perspectives, information visualization will continue to be a valuable tool we can use for our patrons and the organizations we serve. If you'd like to learn more about information visualization, here are some recommended resources. And here are the sources I used.